Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us here today at UDA Technologies. Today we're going to be kicking off our webinar week this week with our ConstructionSuite overview, taking just a nice look at all the different applications here within ConstructionSuite. Today we're actually going to be looking at all the different applications, everything from the on-cost estimating, on-plan scheduling, the on-point contracts and documents, as well as the CRM portion of ConstructionSuite as well, showing you how all of these different applications are able to integrate together and really take your business to that next level. For those of you who are joining us maybe for the first time here, I just want to give you a little background on who we are as a company. So UDA Technologies has been around for well over a decade now, and have very much been in the construction industry, providing all of our contractors from around the world in over 76 countries. We have over 200,000 contractors each and every day who are using our programs to really cut the cost of construction. That is our goal for you as a business, is just to help you be as successful as possible by giving you the tools that you need in order to be so. And so with all the experience that we actually have in the construction world, being, starting out actually as contractors, as a build design firm, being able to come in and say, all right, well, here's some tools that we think would really benefit the industry as a whole, and providing those to our clients. And so whether you are a first-time guest joining us here today, or if you have been a longtime fan or longtime client with us here, I'm very excited to show you exactly what all ConstructionSuite can do for you, what benefits it can have for your business, and really just demonstrating this for you today as well. All right, so getting started here, when we open up ConstructionSuite, the first thing that we see is going to be the Today screen. Now here on the Today screen, we actually have a number of different views that we're able to take a look at, starting first with the dashboard view. So here on the dashboard, on the Today screen, we actually have a good bit of information that is going to be specifically related to our finances, tracking all of our different cash flows and so on here throughout all the projects that we have within ConstructionSuite. As we can see here at the very top tab, we have a cost breakdown giving you a nice visual representation of where the majority of your finances are allocated throughout all of these projects, whether that is just through a materials or labor or equipment subcontractor classification breakdown. You can see exactly where the larger chunks of your estimates are actually going to. What are you spending most of your money on, just to give you a nice look at that. Of course, you can filter this information down to a per project basis to see exactly, okay, so what is this going to be entailing for each one of these jobs. For instance, if we went to the Watley residence here, we would see, again, the corresponding information for each of these, or giving you a nice overview look at all of your estimates as a whole. On the left-hand side here, we also have our lead pipeline. This lead pipeline is going to allow you to track all of your contacts that are coming directly from the CRM portion of ConstructionSuite, all of those contacts that you have established, that initial communication with, and tracking them all the way down through that final sales fulfillment and closing out these jobs. This is what it's going to allow you to really prioritize these new jobs that are coming your way, so that way you can know exactly what you need to focus on in order to increase your profit margins even more so, and really take your business to that next level there. We also can see our change order summary here. Again, just denoting specifically, how many of our change orders that we have outstanding right now have been accepted, rejected, and pending. Again, just giving you a nice at-a-glance look at all of these change orders that you have across all of your projects here within ConstructionSuite, and again, allowing you to then filter that down to see specifically which change, the status of those change orders per job. Now, directly to the right of this information, we'll see our financial graph. Now, of all of these visual representations here, one that I would highly encourage you to focus on is going to be this financial graph, simply because when it comes to construction, with the volatility of the nature of that industry, unfortunately, when it comes to your finances, they can be a bit of a guess and check kind of game. Really kind of sitting back and saying, all right, well, now that's the end of my fiscal year. Exactly where did I finish up here within my business? Was I able to come out ahead as much as I wanted to, or maybe I was hoping I was going to do a little better than I did? Well, with this financial graph, it gives you a very good, again, at a glance visual representation of where you're standing on each one of these projects. You can see exactly how your base estimate and estimated value are going to stack up against your actual costs, committed costs, and invoiced amounts that you have pulled in either from QuickBooks or you have manually entered in on your own to see exactly, again, where you're standing with that, see how all that job costing analysis, really see how that kind of comes to fruition there. And that's going to allow you to not only adjust your estimates there within those specific projects, but also adapt as you go throughout the rest of your year and maximize those profits between jobs as well. In addition to this, you can also filter down your projects to see the specific project types, for instance. So if you go between, say, light commercial and single family residential projects, if maybe you want to take a look and see exactly how profitable is that light commercial sector as opposed to the single family residential, again allowing you to analyze that information and then prioritize the future steps for your business to make sure that you are being as successful as possible. Leaving the dashboard and entering into the summary screen here, we'll see everything from our recent projects that we have currently been working in, thus allowing us to very quickly resume work on any of these jobs. We see our recent contacts that we have either recently modified or created or have had some sort of interaction with, whether that is assigning them to an individual project, creating new projects for them, and so on. Any of our recent files that we have been working in, including any of our estimates, schedules, contracts, or documents. And then above that, our recent activities. So these recent activities that we're taking a look at this screen are going to be scheduled tasks that are being pulled directly from any of the projects that we have within the system. You can actually set exactly what kind of time frame you're wanting to look at, meaning how soon or how far in advance are we actually going to be receiving these notifications that we have a scheduled task or activity coming up that we want to make sure we are able to take care of. Now again, these are going to be any tasks from all of the projects that we have within ConstructionSuite, all those active projects, so that way we have one centralized location to view all of that upcoming information. We can also create manually created calendar events that are not assigned specifically to a project. These could be everything from, maybe an additional meeting with a client that maybe it's a new client who you're looking at acquiring business, or maybe you're even keeping track of your anniversary. You can have all this here within your system to make sure that you're never missing out on anything. We also have directly next to that our recent to-do items. Now these, again, very similarly to the activities, these to-dos are going to be pulling from any of our projects here within ConstructionSuite that are showing us exactly what all to-do tasks are upcoming, ones that we have created there and assigned to projects, or ones, again, that we have created manually as well. So when it comes to getting started with ConstructionSuite, we're definitely going to want to go ahead and just jump into and see exactly how quickly we can go ahead and create a project, because that's exactly what you're using the system for. You're wanting to make sure that you're able to very effectively and efficiently manage these projects. In order to do so, all we have to do, over on the right hand side, we have a quick launch icon to add a new project. This is going to launch our project Quick Add. For instance, this is what we're going to go to now. At this point, we're going to want to go ahead and insert a project name, and then assign a project type. Now, these project types are going to be tied specifically to our dimensions in the project workflow that we'll take a look at it here a little later on. But we actually have a number of default templates that come with ConstructionSuite. As you can see here, everything from commercial down through production building and finally with single family residential. Now, we have all of these different types here for you. Of course, you can go through and create your own, modify the ones that we have here, or even delete those. So we're going to go ahead and just assign this as a single family residential home here. We'll see that our project number is going to automatically pull through on its own as well. We can then go through, establish our address, city, state, zip, all that information here as well. And we can also go ahead and assign our client. Now, when we want to assign our client, again, we're going to note that anything that we're putting into this system here early on, is going to save us a lot of time when it actually comes to working with our contracts and documents and generating reports a little later on. The more information that you put directly into the system, the less that you're having to do and think about later on. So that's going to be a huge benefit for us. So here, this is a new project with a new client, so we're going to go ahead and create that new contact here. Putting in this information here for Jax. We get to insert his address. And we'll go ahead and just save and close. Select Jax and now assign him as our, specifically assign him as our client here. Of course, we can go back through here and assign our lender if we would like as well. Let's say just the National Bank. And we're going to save and close and let this new project create as well. Now that the project has been created, we're now taking a look at our project overview, or our project summary page here. This is what's going to give us all of our details that are going to be specific to this individual job here, showing everything from our project details for the teleresidence. And as we go through the project process, we'll also take a look at, we'll also see that our financial information from our estimates, as well as any of our schedule information, is going to pull through here as well. We'll see all of our related contacts. These are going to be anybody, as we can see here, starting with our client and our lender, that are going to be assigned to this project, as well as any of our resources that we eventually assign that we'll take a look at as we get to on-plan scheduling. Any recent files that we have will show up here as well, and any of our upcoming activities or to-do items will also show up here. Now, if we navigate over to the workflow panel here, we'll actually see the actual project workflow that we have that has been assigned to this job as well. Again, as I mentioned earlier, we set up this project to reflect the single-family residential project type. Now, when it came to that project type, it automatically adds in this specific workflow for us to follow as essentially a recipe guide for the duration of this project. For us to be able to go through here and say, for instance, we check off planning proposal, create project, and so on, just to allow us to keep track of exactly what all is going on within this project and what next step do we need to pick up to go moving forward. In addition to that, say, if you're looking at maybe having multiple licenses of ConstructionSuite and having several of your colleagues working in the system at one time, this is a great way to keep everybody on the same page. So say, for instance, if you have George come in one day and he begins by creating this project, entering in the client contact information, reviewing the plans, and generating the takeoffs. He handles this for this job today. He goes home, and then the next day, Amy comes in and says, all right, well, I need to go ahead and pick up the ball here with the teller residence, but I don't know where George left off. Well, instead of having to track George down, who may be out in the field or working on another job or meeting with a client, she's able to just open up this job, look at the workflow, and see that he's already left it off with generating these takeoffs. At which point she can now go ahead and just hit the ground running by creating a new estimate here and using just the efficiency of the workflow to automatically launch this application and get started with our estimate wizard. With the Estimate Wizard open, we now have the option to go through and either select a predefined estimate template that has already either been created here within the system, or has already come with the system as one of the templates that we have here, or is just one of the maybe one of the estimate templates that you have already gone through and taken a look at as well. All right, we actually have a question from one of our audience members here asking about the specific version that we're working on. So, I actually want to go ahead and just let everyone know that we actually are working with, this is one of the newer versions that we are in the process of the final testing stages here with ConstructionSuite 6. So again, kind of a sneak peek for those of you who are joining us here today. We'll actually see some of the additional features that that ConstructionSuite 6 has in store for everybody throughout the rest of the week as we take a look at the other webinar sessions that we are also hosting. Again, thank you for bringing that up, and I'm very excited that you get to have this sneak peek and take a look at all we have to offer today. So again, as I said with the Estimate Wizard, we now have the ability to either use one of our predefined estimate templates to create an estimate for this job, or we can get started with a blank estimate from scratch. But we're going to go ahead and use one of our estimate templates here. From this point, we can go ahead and select which template we're wanting to use. Let's just go ahead and use the residential sample. That way we have some more information specifically within this estimate that we can then play around with as well. We'll see that all of our information has automatically pulled through here for this job also. And we can go through and we could establish any of our materials or service sales tax if we wanted to go ahead and include those on this screen. Don't worry if you're not sure if or how you want to apply these taxes, because you can certainly do so from the actual from OnCost itself. So we'll go ahead and click Finish here and let this open up. Once OnCost is open, you'll see that we have just a very easy to use, very efficient spreadsheet-based system here that you're able to really go through. You can see all of your categories and subcategories and their individual informations that are tied to those. And as we scroll all the way down to the bottom of our project totals page here, we'll actually see our company overhead margin sheet. Now, unlike using a system, like based in Excel or anything like that, with our company overhead margin sheet, you can actually go through and specifically detail how much you're wanting to take away as your margin, or how much you are expecting to incur as your overhead on the job, and make sure that all those values are already accounted for in that project total, to make sure that, again, if you're wanting to pull away $20,000 off of this job, then that's already accounted for and has been added to that project total. Same goes if you know that your overhead generally on jobs like this are going to run you about 20% of the total cost, then we can go ahead and enter that in here and see that information is already accounted for here within the project total as well. Again, as we jump back to the project totals page now, we can either do so by navigating to the far sheet all the way back up. We can also go ahead and navigate there from the quick access toolbar to get us back to this main page for us to take a look at all of our different categories and subcategories. Again, as I just mentioned, jumping between category sheets is extremely easy. You can certainly get there by selecting any of the tabs down at the bottom, using the quick access toolbar at the top, or for instance, if you want to go to the foundation category, simply clicking on the foundation will bring us directly there for us to see all of our individual subcategories, items, and their associated costs and information for this entire category. Once we're here, editing this information, again, is extremely simple. All we have to do is just right click on any of these lines. That'll give us the ability to do everything from renaming this individual item or subcategory, inserting new items, cutting, copying, or pasting any additional information, deleting this stuff, adding resources. I mean, it's limitless what all we can do here directly from this right click menu there. So we can certainly make use of all of these. When it comes to actually doing something with this, for instance, if we were going to edit this footers material here, we can go ahead, right click on the other item here, delete that row, and we'll see that it's gone. Out of sight, out of mind there. Now, as far as adding something back, all we have to do is select Add Item. From this point, we can either insert an item manually, again, like I said, putting in a specific quantity and cost, and we'll see that information automatically calculate across, or we can go ahead and insert an item directly from the database. When we insert an item from the database, we have our items database will open up and allow us to access any of our cost data from any of our either custom created cost books that we have here within the system, or from any of the RS means data that we have pulled through as well. We can see right now that we're going to go ahead and pull information from the residential cost data. Again, this is just with the CSI, the 16 division, so we'll go ahead and leave it selected there as is. From this point, we have access to the hundreds of thousands of different items and assemblies that RS Means provides to us through the Total Care membership. Again, something that we'll take a look at here as we close out today. But another benefit of using that is having quarterly updated RS Means Costbook data at your disposal. RS Means is a company that takes an aggregate or an average of all of the different materials and items within the construction industry on a nationwide scale, and then also allows you to then, localize that down to your specific area code, the project address, however you want to end up zoning that. You can certainly do so to make sure that you have the most up-to-date averaged cost of all your items that you're putting into your estimate. Make sure that everything's going to be as accurate as possible. So again, as we're taking a look at the footers materials here, we're going to go ahead and just jump into our woods and plastics, again with our rough carpentry here, and let's just take a look at some of our wood framing. Again, all of this is just for sake of example here, but let's just say we're going to use some of this wood blocking here. We want to go ahead and insert some more 2x10s just to have everything in here right here. From this point, we can go through and select if we want to insert either the material quote, a labor quote, or both for each one of these items. Well, let's just say for right now we're going to insert a material quote. We can then choose the specific quantity that we would like to enter in here. And now if we get back directly to our estimate, we'll see exactly where this item has now entered. We have the 2x10, this wood blocking here, the 120 units for that quantity, and the price that ends up coming out to. Again, with all of the RS Means items, whenever you insert those directly into your estimate, you get all of the RS Means and notes that go along with that as well, showing you all the daily output, man hours, and so on that goes along with each of these individual items as well. Now, as you continue on throughout your estimate, you have the ability to go through and add different options. If you want to provide those to your client, allowing them to then be able to go through and say, okay, well which of these do we actually want? Maybe there's different tile selections. You also have the ability to provide your client with an allowance if it's going to be a specific appliance allowance or so on. And we'll get into those a little more tomorrow in the on-cost estimating webinar to really kind of show you all the ins and outs of how all of those will work together. But one thing that we also allow you to do here within ConstructionSuite is really keep track of all of your change orders. Now, if there is anything that's going to pull you directly into on-cost estimating here, it's going to be the change order management system. I know firsthand from my construction experience that when it comes to making it or breaking it on a job, it can come down to change orders and how well you're able to handle those and properly document those. Making sure that you have the paper trail necessary to avoid any sort of liability or responsibility for paying for any of these change orders is going to be crucial when it comes down to actually running your final job costing, making sure that you're coming out ahead on these jobs. Well, with the change order system here within ConstructionSuite, you can track your change orders, create those here within your estimate, send those over into QuickBooks, and then also completely create, from scratch these change order documents and change order contracts directly from the system, pulling in all that information so you're not having to do a thing other than click, 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 and you're done with those. Pull in all the information that you need, and you get the legally binding contract that you have to make sure that you're not going to get stuck footing the bill for something that you're not able to take home at the end of the day. Again, that's a huge part of on-cost estimating, something that we'll get into in more depth tomorrow. But in addition to those, we also have a number of other different reports as well. Everything from project management reports for you to see exactly how are you stacking up. Again, with this estimated amount versus your actuals, what is your profit going to be on this job? How much do you have for your allowances or for your options? How are you going to present this information to your client? All of this is that you're able to put take all this information here within your estimate into a very easily digestible form to present to any of your colleagues, any of your resources, be them lenders, subcontractors, architects, clients, whoever. You definitely have the means to go ahead and present them with all this information and make sure that everybody is kept informed and in the loop as easily as possible. Now, in addition to that, after you have all of your information here within your estimate set up, all of your information is there and good to go. Well, now you want to make sure that you're able to put together a a very nice proposal package or a bid package to submit to this client and make sure that you're able to win this job. To do so, all we have to do is just use the proposal wizard here at the top. And just like the other wizards that we have here within ConstructionSuite, this one is going to give you a very nice step-by-step instructional on how to create the beautifully laid out document that you need in order to win this job. So again, we're just going to go ahead and select a residential template here, since that is the type of job that we're working on. We'll see that all of our contact information and project information has pulled through here as well. We can choose to insert our letterhead graphic if we would like. You have a number of different layout options that you can use for your proposal. We're going to go ahead and just use the option 1 here. Again, you can customize all of these to reflect your specific business and tailor that to your need. We can go ahead and choose any of our scope of work or special conditions. Any of our base price information, dimensions if we wanted to include those, and then finally our project totals report. We can now see exactly how are we wanting to include all this information, how are we wanting to break down all these monetary values to then be presented to our client. So here with the project totals report, we can go ahead and say, for instance, starting here with the company overhead margin, choose exactly how we're wanting to present this. We can either choose to include this as a separate line items, meaning that at the very end of our project totals report, we would actually see, company overhead and profit margin lined out individually. Or if your clients are anything like mine, they probably don't even want to know that you're turning a profit on this job to begin with. So that way we can go ahead and prorate this amount directly into all of our categories. So this way they can go through and, they're not seeing that specific amount that you're saying, all right, I think I deserve $20,000 take away as profit on this job. They see, the total project is going to cost $489,000, which is including that amount, but they don't actually see exactly what all of that entails in that regard. So then we can go ahead and choose to prorate that. We could choose to include any of our general bid or field notes as well for just added detail to this report here. And then we could choose to include any of our option items. Again, really however much information you're wanting to include in this is very much up to you. You can include however much or however little you want to, but regardless, as soon as you click finish here, it's going to, the system will go ahead and compress all this information and put it into a very nice format for you to go through and take a look at here on your own. So as we scroll down, we will see that we have our letterhead that has already pulled through here. Again, you can customize this letterhead to reflect the one that you need specifically for your business. We see as we scroll down again, all the blue information is going to be everything that is pulled through automatically specifically for this job. We'll see that if, again, depending on how much information you initially enter into the jobs, into these projects, will then determine how much is pulling through here. But regardless, if you put in all of your contact information, client information, project information, if you have all of that there, well, then you're not going to have to enter it in every single time you generate a contract or a document. That's going to save you a lot of time, which is ultimately going to save you a lot of money. We all know that there is a strong correlation between time and money, and so the more that you're able to save of one, the more you're able to save of the other. So being able to go through here and see everything pull through in a very nice format automatically is going to save you, again, lots of time. It's going to be more time that you're not having to spend in front of your computer, and more time that you're able to actually spend out winning more jobs and acquiring more business. Now, when it comes to actually editing any of this information, you certainly have the ability to do so. For instance, here with planning, if we initially said we wanted to have all of our subcategories listed out here as well, but then looking at it, we said, you know what, actually we want to go ahead and only have a subtotal here for this. Well, then all you have to do, highlight that information, backspace it, and it's gone. You can also, if you want to have everything broken up on different pages, you can certainly go through, insert that information, and so on. And as we scroll down, we'll see that all of our project details, all the the financial information has now been put onto this format here with a nice legally binding acceptance of agreement at the very end. Now, of course, you can go through and choose how you want, if you want to insert any additional contracts directly into this, if you want to pin those to the bottom of this packet, or if you want to include it, of course, you can certainly do so and bring all this, bring all this information into one single beautifully laid out packet to submit to your client. Make that first impression that's going to be the lasting impression that you want your client to have of you, thus demonstrating the professionalism of your business and ensuring that you're going to have that business from then on out. Once our proposal is created, we can go back to our estimate. Again, we'll see all the information that we have here. And now that all of that side of the business is taken care of, well, now is when the QuickBooks integration is going to come into play. One of the things that is unique to ConstructionSuite is its two-way or the bi-directional sync between QuickBooks that it has with our estimating here. So actually, when you have your estimate here, if you choose to create a QuickBooks estimate, this is going to create an estimate within QuickBooks that ties specifically to the job and customer that you already have set up here within ConstructionSuite. It's going to tie it directly over there and share all that information back and forth. So that way, whenever you begin creating your invoices, POs, credit memos, and so on, the information is going to flow between the two and allow you to do the job costing that you need to within QuickBooks, and then also track that information here within ConstructionSuite to make sure that everything is going off without a hitch, and that everything is kept as up to date and you are as informed as possible when it comes to making decisions for this project and ones moving forward as well. Now, for the specific QuickBooks integration, I highly encourage you to go ahead and join us this Wednesday for our QuickBooks integration webinar. We'll have a product specialist who is actually a QuickBooks Pro advisor walking you through those steps and showing you exactly how beneficial that's going to be for your business, showing you exactly how much time that is going to be able to save you now that you're not having to enter all this information in twice, first within your estimate and then again entering it over into QuickBooks separately. Eliminating that means that you're cutting your estimating time in half and also completely eliminating the risk for error of punching in an extra zero here and there on those items, because trust me, that can certainly make a difference when it comes to closing out your job here at the end. Well, now that this estimate has been created, we now can go ahead with the scheduling part of the job as well. Again, it doesn't matter if you are more of an estimator than a scheduler. You can follow the flow that we're going right now, but of course, if you prefer to do scheduling, you have the flexibility to start with that schedule and then move into the estimate as well. But again, from the workflow that we've been going with right now, we can now choose to create a new schedule directly off of this estimate framework here. We already have spent the time putting all this in place and in the sequence that we want. So instead of having to do all that again, well, hey, let's save time and just use this same framework to create a new schedule. Once the scheduling has opened here within OnPlan, we'll again see here. I'll go ahead and restore this screen. We can see specifically over here that our planning category within our estimate has now become our planning group within OnPlan, and the subsequent subcategories here are now these are now these tasks for the planning group. So all that information has carried over here. By default, everything is set up on the day that you have created this project with the single day duration, but that can be changed either here within the list view or specifically from the Gantt chart. Editing this information again is as easy as just right-clicking on any of these and choosing any of the many tasks, or any of the many options that you have for editing any of this information. Any changes that you make in either one place or the other will be reflected in both locations, meaning if our design services, if these are going to be a 5-day task, if permits are going to be a 4-day task and a 3-day task, we can now see that this has now been reflected over here in the Gantt chart. In the same way, if we have our if we have our permits here, if this wasn't going to start until the 18th, we can go ahead and make that change here. And we'll see that that has been reflected over here on the start date as well. Now, of course, keeping track of all this information like this is going to be hugely beneficial, allowing you to very easily see, not only a nice step-by-step, flow of how things are going to be working with the project, but also giving you a nice visual representation as well. So that way, not only are you able to keep track of everything, but you can also push to make sure you're finishing this job not only on time, but maybe even ahead of schedule. Being able to very accurately put this information together is going to allow you to give an even better timeline to your client or to your lender, as well as keep all of your subcontractors informed as well. Being able to keep track of all this, again, is a huge benefit. And one thing that we're able to do here as well is include predecessor relationships between each of these individual tasks. And the way that works, if we wanted to go down here, let's take a look at our foundation category. So we'll see here that we begin the foundation category, this foundation group with the site work task, which is denoted by task number 7. So here, if we wanted to go ahead and establish a predecessor relationship between site work and the remaining tasks below that, all we have to do is say that we want predecessor. We want to establish this relationship here. We have between task 8 and task 7. So task 8 is going to immediately follow task 7 as such, and we'll see that that's now denoted by a gray arrow showing this linkage between the two. And we can then go down through the rest of this group doing the same thing. And again, as I mentioned, you see it working all the way down through each of these, showing you specifically in this instance that task number 8, this footer's labor, is not going to take place until task 7 has been completed. One thing that I want to point out here as well is that, as you can see here on task 11, we notice that task 12, would be starting the day after. It's only 1 day duration. However, because of the work schedule that we had already set up initially, we're reserving, our weekends as being essentially holidays, meaning that they are not going to be active work days. So therefore, the system automatically pushes pushes task 12 to be completed on the next available day, which is going to be the following Monday. Same goes for any upcoming holidays as well. We'll see that if we tried to shift task 12 to take place on Christmas Eve, it's going to be pushed forward all the way until the 26th. Now, we can have these kind of shifts like this between all of our tasks, and we'll see, if we were to shift this backwards or anything like that, that lag time is still going to remain there within the system, just because, you might want, it's set up to where you would want to manually go back and check and say, okay, well, are we sure that we want the concrete slab labor to take place the following Monday? You can certainly go through, make that change manually, or if you want, you can choose to go ahead and compress the schedule and take all of your tasks and push them to be completed as quickly as possible. So if we were to compress the schedule here, we'll see that task 12 has now been pushed all the way back to be completed as quickly as possible. Now, for some additional features here, we're going to go ahead and take a look at our percent complete for each one of our tasks, as well as our resources. So if we go ahead and choose to include this here, we'll now see that we have these 2 additional columns, and we can go through and track the percentages complete for each one of these tasks. So if we want to take a look at our design services, if we say that it has been 25% complete, we'll say that permits are 50% complete and lot costs are 75% complete. We can now see not only is this denoted here within the task list, but it's also been noted here within the Gantt chart as well. We'll see that approximately 25% of this bar has now been shaded, 50% for the next, and 75% for the one after that. Now, these are going to be extremely beneficial for you when it comes to doing some of your reporting, specifically with your cash flow reports and those earned value reports, because this is going to directly correlate to, say, for instance, if we said that 50% of our permits has been completed, well, as we generate those financial reports, that's going to reflect that, approximately $1750 of this amount here has already been billed for or has already been used. So you can look at it as not only has 50% of this task has been completed, but 50% of the budgeted amount for this task has already been spent or has been billed for, or so on. So that's going to be another way for you to keep track of your finances here, specifically within the project, and allow you to make sure that everything, again, is up to speed where it needs to be. At the same time, ConstructionSuite also allows you to keep track of multiple people without leaving you as the babysitter. So again, we can go in here and begin assigning resources to each one of these individual tasks here. For instance, here with our floor systems materials, if we want to go ahead and assign a resource, we can either double click within this cell or just right click and choose to set a resource. When we set a resource, we're going to be able to add a new contact directly from our CRM. This is going to bring up, again, any of our recent resources. We can search from alphabetical, grouped, however you want to choose that individual here, or even create a new contact. For instance, here with floor system materials, though, we want to go ahead and use one of our suppliers who we already have within the system, specifically Abernathy Brothers Supply. When we choose Abernathy Brothers, we'll see their contact information that's pulled up here in the bottom for us to, again, be able to make sure that this is exactly who we want to do this job. We would be able to see if they have any upcoming activities scheduled for these corresponding dates here within this window as well, thus making sure that you are not double booking them if they shouldn't be, or that you're not putting too much on their plate for them to be able to handle. So we can see here on the 15th, which is the day that we're wanting to go ahead and assign them to, they don't have anything coming up here, and so we could go ahead and assign them. Now, ConstructionSuite also has another feature. Let's go ahead and see if it gives it to us here, and that is the certificate tracking and insurance tracking, specifically within the CRM. So as soon as we try to assign Abernathy Brothers as a resource, ConstructionSuite lets us know that, hey, these guys don't have any certificates. Are you sure you want to go ahead and assign them to this task, even though you might be liable if something happens? At this point, we want to go ahead and we're just going to cancel out of this because we don't want any of that bad mojo coming our way. So we're going to jump back into ConstructionSuite here, go to our CRM, and very quickly access Abernathy Brothers Supply. Now that we're on this contact details page, in addition to seeing their related projects that we have already assigned to them, their contact details, we can now choose to add a specific certificate or insurance or bond or anything like that specifically to this contact. By choosing Add Certificate here, that will bring up the edit window where we can now go through and add specific insurance type. Let's say, for instance, this one's going to be workman's comp insurance. We want to make sure that they have all of that coverage. We can put in the policy number, classification, and so on, however much the insured amount is for, and then choose what the expiration date is going to be. Now, by default, the system is going to give you a 30-day warning of essentially a 30-day expiration notice. Let me rephrase that. It's going to give you an expiration notice if you are within those 30 days of the actual certificate, expiring or anything like that. Of course, you can certainly change that to reflect however much or however little notice that you want. But let's just go ahead and we'll set this as January 30th here. Go ahead and do that. So then we'll go ahead, we see their workman's comp insurance has been there. We'll select OK. And now their workman's comp insurance has been denoted as a certificate for Abernathy Brothers Supply. So jumping back into our schedule now, again, we're going to choose Abernathy Brothers Supply, select OK. Now you notice that we're not receiving any sort of red flag that they are uninsured or anything like that, meaning we are good to go with this project and specifically with this task and assigning them to it. At this point, we could go through, establish a reminder for any of our resources, whether that's going to be a planning reminder. Typically send out, around 2 weeks or 2 business weeks prior to the actual event, just kind of giving the individual a heads up that this task is taking place. A starting reminder, which would be right before it takes place, and then any amount of custom reminders that you would like to for these jobs, for these resources or these users, sending that out. All this information right here will be covered more specifically on Thursday in the on-plan scheduling webinar that I encourage you to go ahead and take a look at registering for as well. We'll just leave everything as is. select save, and we'll notice that now Abernathy Brothers Supply has been assigned to this individual task to be completed. We can make sure that they are going to be there whenever the job commences and that everything will be taken care of as quickly as possible. Now I want to go ahead and jump back into scheduling right quick over here, and we're going to go ahead and just open up one of the sample schedules that comes with ConstructionSuite. Whether you're looking, again, if you're looking at getting a license for the very first time, then don't worry, you're not starting from scratch. You have plenty of information that you're going to be able to review and go over and make sure that you're doing things as efficiently as possible, that everything is stacking up the way that it should for your business. So again, here we are looking, we have a number of predecessor relationships, and you can very quickly see how these schedules can come together and really grow. I mean, if we take a look at this, we'll see how large these schedules can get. But keeping track of these within ConstructionSuite is extremely easy. Let's just take, for example, something that tends to happen in every sector of construction, no matter where you are. And that is, if a project is delayed for whatever reason, or, if it very rarely starts earlier than you expected, or so on. So let's say that right now we knew that the project was probably going to end up shifting beforehand. Well, we already had the schedule set up with the initial dates put in place where we wanted everything to commence. So at this point, we want to go ahead and create a baseline for this amount. So we want to say, all right, we know what we're going to set a baseline. This is just going to be our original dates for starting the project and ending the project. So we're just going to call this our original baseline that we can now use to compare to any changes that we have moving forward. So say original baseline, and if we were to shift this project date, let's say that we had some of our certificates got held up for 3 days and we weren't able to start until then. Well, now if we take a look at our project, we'll see not only what you're used to seeing, all of the blue boxes here, but we'll also see kind of these grayed out, ghostly looking boxes showing where the tasks originally were as well. Specifically, if we go down here, we'll see it more clearly defined, but we'll see, now we're not only looking at where we're standing, personally, where are we standing within this job, but we're also able to see, okay, where did we initially say everything was starting out. Now, again, like I said, these baseline features are extremely important, so I want to go over it again. So starting a baseline, here we'll go ahead, let's clear out the one that we already have. And so to set a new baseline, all we have to do is select the project tab here at the top, go over to the baselines, choose to set that baseline, at which point we can give it whatever label we want to, whether if you want to give this, maybe as essentially a timestamp, maybe for instance, or something like this. We could choose to say this is what our baseline is going to be called. We set this on December 15th, so that's what we'll call it here. And now we'll see that baseline is being shown. Again, you can create however many baselines you want to. Have all these show up here as well, and then choose which of these you want showing. So right now, if we said that this was going to be our baseline, and then we shift the project 3 days, or 2 days, we'll see that show up there. We can then create a baseline from this point moving forward, and so on and so on and so on, to make sure that you have everything kept up as efficiently as possible. In addition to this, if you're wanting to know specifically, okay, so what is the absolute earliest that we can finish this project? Well, we can take a look at our critical path. Your critical path is going to show you everything from your original, starting from the first task all the way to the very last task, and show you, okay, well, you know what? No matter how soon you get things done in the middle, this is the absolute soonest that you can complete this job. And so, we could take a look at the critical path. As long as you have a direct linkage from that first task all the way down through all the individual ones to that last task, then you should be able to see that critical path there show up. Again, you have more options for your reporting as far as going through and choosing what all, how do you want to present this information, what all you want to go through as far as giving a scheduled task report that's going to show you a very nice detailed list view of all these tasks to be completed. generating schedule conflict reports or work orders for any of your resources, baseline schedule reports that would allow you to not only see, originally where you said the project was going to start and finish, but where it actually did end up starting and finish, and what the variance between those two schedules are for you to then analyze, hand over to a lender, or whatever, however you need to present that information, you have the ability to do so. In addition to sharing this information with reports, one thing that I highly recommend that you look at doing as far as sharing it goes is directly publishing this to ConstructionOnline. ConstructionOnline is our cloud-based interface for project management. Think of it like this: ConstructionSuite, that's handling your back of office to make sure that you're having all of your finances in order, that you're able to present these estimates, draw up these contracts, and so on. Well, you also have to have a front end. You also have to make sure that you're able to present this information directly to your client, to your subcontractors, and so on. Keep everybody on the same page. Well, that's where ConstructionOnline comes into play. We'll go ahead and open that up here. Again, as we're closing out, I just want to give you a quick run through of this. Again, if you want a full look at what all ConstructionOnline has for you guys, I encourage you to go ahead and join us this upcoming Friday. One of my colleagues, Ashley, is going to be just taking it away with that, showing you all what all ConstructionOnline can do. But very quickly, we'll just jump into these pro features here. And, we first see our calendars, see all this information come up, and you see all the different pro features that we have available to you. But I want to go ahead, we'll just look at scheduling. Again, I don't want to steal any thunder away from Amanda on Friday, so we're just going to go directly into this demo schedule here that I have. And we'll see again that we have a very, very nice layout. As far as your scheduling goes, you can see a very nice similarity between ConstructionSuite and ConstructionOnline as far as the scheduling goes. Taking a look at all of your individual groups and tasks, I can tell you right now, and trust me, we have the statistics to back this up. We have the world's fastest online scheduler of any of our competitors. It's not a click and wait kind of interface. It's very much a click and it happens. So for instance, if our exterior doors here got pushed up 2 days, well, there, it's done. We push stuff up here. Everything just happens like this, left and right. We can compress the schedule down. Everything shifts back. And the thing is that when you upload a schedule from ConstructionSuite to ConstructionOnline, it's not a read-only PDF. It's not, some little schedule that you can't even view. It is a full, live, editable schedule directly here within your browser, allowing you to very quickly access this information, edit it on the fly, and then share that information with any of your clients, with your subcontractors, any additional resources that you have, to make sure that everybody is kept in the loop. And then taking that one step further, if you've made any changes to this schedule since you've uploaded it to ConstructionOnline, we'll go ahead and bring that joker back down into ConstructionSuite and make sure that you're able to continue working with the schedule, make sure that everything is still running as smoothly as possible, and that you are kept as up to date and have the most recent information right there at your fingertips. One other thing that I want to touch on here as well is that, in the same way that ConstructionSuite, sends out reminders to your resources, you keep everybody on the same page. Well, ConstructionOnline has the game plan feature. With this game plan feature here within ConstructionOnline, you directly can go through and say, all right, when do you want your team to actually receive automated emails from you detailing out any of their upcoming scheduled tasks, calendar events, to-do items, punch lists, everything that you can possibly think of. When do you want to send these out to your clients to make sure that you, are not having to worry about calling everybody each and every day to make sure they know where they're supposed to go, missing phone calls, and all of that. You're able to keep everybody informed as quickly and efficiently as possible, with it being as least of a burden on you than you can even possibly imagine. So if you take a look here, specifically with Alice Gorey, we could go ahead and choose to send out a game plan reminder to her every day if we wanted to. You can choose, however, the duration is completely up to you, however you want to send this out. But let's say for Alice, we want to go ahead and send her a daily email every day, bright and early at 5 a.m. So that way we're guaranteeing that before she's even up and had her first cup of coffee, she already knows exactly what she has coming up for the day. You can set it to show her exactly what's coming up for the week. Maybe if it was going to be on a Monday at 5 a.m. so that when she wakes up, checks her phone, sees that email, she knows exactly what's coming her way for the remainder of the week, and she'll be good to go with that. You can do this for any number of your team members. Set all of that up. In addition to this, I mean, we're talking client portals, subcontractor portals, really just taking the front end of your business and taking it up a level. And I encourage you, if you're if you're interested in this, I know that I certainly am excited about it, then go ahead and give us a call. I can get you set up with one of our Construction Online specialists right now to have a very, just a short demo showing you exactly what Construction Online can do for your business. Again, I cannot stress to you how essential this is for your business. So go ahead and give us a call at any time, and we'll go ahead and get that set up for you. Well, that really brings us to the end of today's webinar. Again, I want to thank you all for joining us here today. I know we've covered a lot of information, so I want you to go ahead and feel free to give me a call, shoot me an email here. I'm going to pull up, let's just pull up my information here. Well, let's see there. There we go. So I usually have a little post-it note that I'll throw up, but tell you what, how about go ahead, just feel free to email me anytime here. You can see my email address that I've already highlighted there for you. We also have our phone number. Feel free to give me a call. If you can't get in touch with me, any of my colleagues or our other product specialists will be more than happy to go ahead and sit down and show you exactly what ConstructionSuite and Construction Online can do for you and your business. If you have any additional questions, guys, go ahead, send those in to me. We'll go ahead and get those covered here before we close out today's session. Again, thank you all for joining, and I look forward to hearing from you.